Look at me in a BMW using a turn signal. Aren't I special? The E46 M3, often considered the benchmark in handling, but how is it aged and should you still buy one? Today on Eat Sleep Drive, we're gonna find out. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am in an E46 M3, and right now I'm driving kind of like a normal person, which is rare for me, I know, but you know, I'm just driving like a normal person, and this is a pretty nice car. It feels well built, it feels solid, like you would expect a German car to feel, and you know, it's 15 years old, this is an '01, so I think that's a testament for how well these cars are built. In fact, it's a nice place to be in. You know, the fit and finish of the interior is basic, but it's nice. It's nice basic, if I could call it that. But it's not until you dig a little deeper into this car do you realize that it is special. So you start to see these things like these M badges. There's an M badge on the steering wheel, and then I see this M badge on this gauge cluster. And then I see things like the tachometer has lights on it. And these lights move around depending on if the car is warmed up or not. So you say, okay, car is warmed up, let's rev it up. Woohoo! $8,000. Yep, that's a big number. The car is capable, and it is an absolute blast to drive fast. This engine has a very like tinny sound to it. It's so unique. Like BMW straight sixes have a pretty unique sound, but this is like the zingiest, tinniest of them all, in my opinion. I have no idea technically, engineering wise, what is going on to make that sound, but I like it. God, 8,000 RPM. If your car's not gonna have force induction, if it's not gonna be turbocharged, not gonna be supercharged, make that some rev high, because that is a blast. I love high revving engines, and this engine is just perfect. It's got the power that you need. It's got torque when you want it, down low. But, you know, it likes to rev. Don't get me wrong. This thing wants to go to redline every single time. And I will fulfill that request of this engine right now. Woo-hoo. So let's talk about the things that you notice first in this car, and those are obviously the things that you interact with in the car. So first and foremost, this steering wheel, great shape, great size, pretty basic, but it's a classic look. But the thing I really like about it is it has this like really thick rim, so it's a really thick steering wheel, which I'm not sure why more, or I should say other manufacturers don't do that. This is like probably the thickest steering wheel I've ever felt in a sports car, but I really like how it falls to hand. So the steering wheel is good. The pedals are placed well. The brakes, firm brake pedal, gives you a lot of confidence. Everything's just set up how it should be. Now, I love all the tactile points. I love the steering wheel, I love the pedals, but the one thing that I do not like is the shifter. And this is kind of a personal bone that I have to pick with BMWs in general. My E90 M3, I didn't like the shifter either. BMW shifters have this rubbery feel to me. I wish that the Germans, well, I shouldn't say the Germans because Porsche makes beautiful shifters, but I wish BMW would talk with some Japanese manufacturers and just be like, hey, how do you guys do this? Because S2000, amazing shift feel. But as I drive this road in haste, I'm not disappointed by the shifter right now. It gets better the faster you go, but just kind of putting around town, it's really rubbery, and it's just not as like positive as I would like it to be. I want to know exactly where I'm going, and this just doesn't do it for me. As far as styling goes on this car, styling is always objective, but I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone that says this is not a good looking car. It's a very classic look. It's going to age really well. It has aged very well. It's 15 years old at this point, but it's still a pretty car. You know, it's like Tina Fey. You know, Tina Fey keeps getting older every year, obviously, but you just stop and you look and you're like, damn, she's still really hot. As a previous owner of an E90 M3, I can tell you that this car, unlike that car, is the right size. E90 M3 is just a little too big. The 3 Series was just a little too big in that generation, and I can tell you for sure that the E46 is perfect. It's not too small to the point where you feel like you're just driving a go-kart around, which can be fun, don't get me wrong, but it does get tiring in my Lotus. I can tell you that from firsthand experience, but this car is just the right size, man. Like, you can place it where you want it. It's not too big, it's not too heavy. The hood line is low, which is nice, which aids in the feeling of this car being small. And you know, this is also obviously a 2-door strictly in this generation, which is kind of interesting. But it's just the right size, and the handling is what's my favorite part about this car. This thing is glued, man. It's so well damped. Steering feels on point. You know, this is a car. All modern cars now, I shouldn't say all modern cars, but most modern sports cars have all these settings, right? Because it's electric steering, they have all these settings, light, heavy, medium, whatever. This car is just one setting. You know, this is regular hydraulically assisted power steering. And there's only one setting, and that setting is good. Something about open roads in this car just makes you want to bomb them. I mean, on the highway especially, you just end up going really fast because it's a refined car. It's pretty quiet in here, and it's comfortable. So you don't even realize how fast you're going. You look down, and you're like, holy shit, I'm going that fast? That doesn't happen in my Lotus. I'll say that much. I know exactly how fast I'm going in that Lotus because it's loud as hell. It vibrates like crazy. This is the ultimate dual purpose car. My wife rode in this earlier and was encouraging me to get rid of my Lotus because she likes this way better. So this is a car you can have fun with on your own time, but also gets the approval of your old lady who wants something nice. And this car is just so well balanced. Sum the E46 M3 up in one word and it's just balanced. Everything is proportionate to each other. The chassis is perfectly mated to this engine. This engine has just enough power to move it along, to have fun. The power band is super linear. The traction breakaway is linear. It doesn't snap. It's just super, super, super balanced and super sorted. I will say, though, that this traction control and stability control on this car are a bit invasive. The newer cars, specifically the E90 M3, has a lot more finer tunability with having completely on, completely off type deal. You know, that car has an M dynamic mode. This does not. It's on or off, and when it's on, it's too invasive for me personally. And when it's off, it's not bad. I mean, you got to be on your toes. It has 300 plus horsepower in a rear-wheel drive car, but like I mentioned earlier, it breaks away really easily. It's easy to drive fast. It's easy to find the limit, which is like probably one of the most fun things in a car, right? Some cars, the limit is so high, you just keep searching. This car, it's easy to find the limit, and you can have a little fun, you know, wag the tail out a little bit. It loves to do it. The other thing we need to talk about is, at what point does this car become collectible? BMWs, like a lot of German cars, Porsches especially, tend to be very collectible. The good ones do. And these cars are so cheap right now. I mean, in my opinion, they're at the bottom of their value. I don't really think they can go much cheaper than this before they start coming back up. You know, the value of a car starts up here and goes down over years. You know, they tend to depreciate, but then there becomes a plateau. You hit the bottom, and then you start to go back up. And honestly, I think we're at the bottom. The E46 M3. How do you sum up such an iconic car? What's amazing about the E46 M3 is that it can be whatever the hell you want it to be. If you want it to be a daily driver, it's comfortable, it's refined, and it's fun to drive on the weekends when you can do that. If you just want a weekend car, or you want to take it to the track, this car can do that too. It can do whatever the hell you want it to because it's just that good. Simple equation. Silky smooth engine, revs to 8,000 RPM, has over 300 horsepower in a well-sorted rear-wheel drive chassis. How can you beat it, man? That's what the E46 M3 is. It's an iconic car for a reason. And it's never, ever, ever gonna lose that luster. Guys, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. There'll be plenty more car reviews to come in the future. And we hope to see you next time.